I'm Darren Bott, interior designer and aviation fanatic.
And I'm Toya Griffith, journalist, and this is the Interior Podcast.
Emphasis on tea, as we spill the tea on all things design, home and construction.
Locally, regionally, and even internationally. So join us as we spill the tea.
This is episode 6 of the Interior Podcast. Thank you all for sticking with us and learning some trends, understanding some no-nos, understanding anything that you have actually learned.
You're being so nice. Thank you for sticking around for all the tea.
We just talking.
And the snarky comments.
And the few bleeps that you will hear every so often. We are not putting it in, and that sort of thing. So we are very happy to be back with you all. I am Darren Bott.
I'm Toya Griffith.
And we're here to spill the tea with Miss Toya Griffith from Nook Cranny TT and also Hodgepodge Home. So we are very excited to have Toya. She's one of my older friends. I don't want to say oldest. We have been friends for
We have some tenure. The friendship has some tenure.
It has some tenure.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah. I don't want to say old. How did we meet?
How did we meet?
Facebook, I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was Facebook.
I know.
I can't remember.
Things that we can't remember.
But it's one of those lasting friendships.
Yeah, but it's been so long, so that's nice. Yeah. So it has longevity.
Yes, it certainly does.
Definitely.
With very little investment from either of us.
Yes.
It's pure chemistry.
Yeah.
Pure chemistry.
For sure.
And I like that. I love chemistry meeting, chemistry conversations.
Definitely. Toya, how has your week been so far?
It's been. I think that everybody, for some reason, kind of woke up yesterday and immediately wanted a clean house. So I don't know what the inspiration is. It's not Easter. Easter has gone. It's not Christmas. So I really can't say what, but it's been the week.
Has been
second day of the work week, and it's been a week.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a week here on my end, and I'm sure.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
Always.
I think it's just maybe the time that everybody's just.
Every time it's a strange feeling, I go to see if Mercury's in retrograde. I know a lot of people don't believe, oh no, you're just being this and you're being that. Listen, right now Trinidad is in retrograde. Whatever that means.
I was telling somebody this morning, I was like, I think we need a pushback.
Yeah. Something good.
Like there's always this
we need to press the restart
energy
button.
at some point of the year, and then it's exacerbated by oh gosh, what's the word? I knew it in Spanish.
Say it.
Well, say it in Spanish.
Me embarrassing myself. Sensationalism.
Okay.
There's just so much of that exacerbating regular things.
regular things, Cardi B.
And then there are also, horrendous acts. Yeah, Trinidad.
Yeah, I think we need some healing. Hopefully this podcast can help you, find some joy.
Some laughter. Just
edify
sign off and just enjoy. Let's just try to turn that, negativity and just be happy.
Into something positive. So, Toya, let's talk about who are you? Who's Toya Griffith?
I feel like I'm on an interview.
Oh, yeah.
That's the age-old interview question.
And the fun part is you're on the opposite side.
I know, right?
Because Latoya has an HR background, but maybe she should talk about that.
Oh, wait. Before we get there, Latoya, what's your tea of the week?
Oh, shucks.
My tea of the week.
When your cup.
What in that cup?
That is punchacraft. However, the tea of the week is always anything with a rum base. I think that's the tea of the year.
Oh, wow.
So you see she's having rum.
Strong rum we're drinking all the time. All the time. So once there is rum.
I understand the chemistry now.
Is not a song Strong Rum?
Yes, it is.
We don't know
yes. Good
Yes.
We love that. We love it. My tea
of the week is
a mixture of Eldorado 15 and Angostura 1919.
Because one was ending and we had to top it up.
No, you just chose violence. You chose violence.
Yeah, so let's see.
Yes.
And then Soy, what is your
I know. Okay, so I decided to be a punk, but also I'm obsessed with soda makers, and I did not realize that Darren had a soda stream. So
Elevate your everyday girl.
That's what I'm saying. Why have basic water when it could be sparkling?
Ding, ding, ding. That's a point to talk about.
You know, at no point be basic.
No point be basic.
Sparkle always.
Material girl.
I'm literally going to play that.
We do. All right, Latoya. So here you are. You've been in corporate Trinidad and Tobago, corporate world for what, 13, 14 years?
It's actually 15. It's
15 years you're in corporate. You were in the corporate world and then you just woke up one morning and said, you know what, screw this. Let me put my ducks in a row and let me see what there is in store for me. Is that like, what was the train of thought? Because
kind of what happened. It is kind of what happened. Now I've been, I think, a serial entrepreneur. Anytime I have a need to fulfill, I think somebody else needs it too. So, you know, I've started a couple of small businesses over the years, but I've always been in a corporate space. I am a human resource professional. I still refer to myself as one. But it really was recognizing one day, I can't remember the exact day, but recognizing one day that I wanted something different for myself. And the different was a lot of things that I could not get attached to a corporate job, which would have been control of my time.
a midday nap.
A midday nap, yeah, that's it. A midday nap. And also the ability to explore my interests.
Right.
So I've always considered, you know, myself to tap into the left and right side of my brain. And I would have been very focused on my career for a number of years. So I think the more creative side of me would have been neglected. And I saw the opportunity. I told myself, girl, you have no chip, no child, no parrot on a stick. You know, you've been fairly responsible financially. Your career is at a place where if it is you press pause, hopefully stop. That, you know, you can't pick back up if you need to.
Good.
And so it was just kind of time. And the stars aligned. We were coming to, well, there seems to be no end to COVID, but, you know, we had been in that vein for about 2 years in my organization, crisis management, so my then employer, crisis management. It was a lot. And I'm responsible for people. And the past 2 years has been extremely difficult for people, far less for the persons that are responsible for them. So when the opportunity presented, I said, you know what? I have been operating Nook Cranny for, at that point, it would have been, what, 3 years? 2018,
This is your housekeeping.
That's the housekeeping service.
Right.
And I said to myself, girl, just put things in order. Get your business in order and let's
I
take a
remember,
leap.
I think Latoya messaged, she's like, I think I'm going to do this. I am terrified. And I was so excited.
I'm still terrified.
When she sent that message, I was so excited because whenever a friend tells me they're leaving corporate world and delving into entrepreneurship, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Because like I still can't remember when I started my business, I had nothing.
I remember.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
I just left. I was fed up of everything. I just left and I said, let me figure this out. Everyone thought I was insane.
I was part of that, everyone.
And it was a wild ride. It was crazy. I literally went to New York for like a month and figured stuff out. I wasn't figuring out anything. I just wasn't doing anything.
But decompression is an important part of thinking. We go and go and go and go.
It's a transition as well.
So you need to get yourself accustomed to the transition. So.
And like I've been watching Latoya. I tell you, Latoya is a very responsible human being, and I've seen growth. I have seen many different things in the different businesses. And okay, as she said, she's a serial entrepreneur. So she's started this. Yeah, if this doesn't really work out, it's not dead.
Yeah.
It's still running. But everything is going to work out. Like, and I know this. I know this. I utilize her housekeeping service.
Oh, do you?
I'm very happy.
Good.
I can literally leave the house, and the professional, she's here. I will get someone to let her out. And when I come back, my house is smelling like fabuloso. And I'm happy. Like you all don't know how happy I am when I return and the floor is clean, and because I hate mopping.
Yeah.
So I kind of told her that before, and yeah, the place is clean and I'm happy.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a joy. It's part of helping our mental health and
Yep.
because when you leave the house and disappear and go to work and you don't want to clean, you can't stress. Like, come on, like.
Yeah.
That is actually how Nook Cranny was born, huh?
Right.
It was very, very organic. It was a situation where at the time I was working probably 10 to 12 hour days, ridiculous hours. And
Before you go on, can you say that was worth it?
what's that? The 10 to 12 hours?
days?
Listen, I know it's going to sound kind of, woo, but I have always been invested in the people. So if I had to look at it from a strategic standpoint in terms of the organization and the contribution, etc., maybe not. But I was always an HR professional that was focused on improving the employment experience of an individual.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, as in the people,
Yes.
yes, it was worth it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
No, I appreciate that.
yeah,
That's
it was worth it.
And yeah, when I lived in Ecuador, I had a housekeeper. She would come once a week. Actually, she would come every 2 weeks on a Thursday. And trust me, I loved coming home on that Thursday.
Love it.
You know, because it's just like.
And it's somebody that you can trust and you
Oh
feel
yeah, she was
comfortable with.
fantastic.
It's just one
she
less
would
thing.
do all this stuff I didn't want to do, and you come home and you open your door, it's like.
Hello, I came home and saw my windows clean and I nearly screamed. I was like, wait, how? And it's just like, okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, so you said like you worked 10 to 12 hours. And
It was 10 to 12 hour days and I didn't have time. But I have always been the person that has taken pride in her space.
Yes.
And that was whether or not it had fancy things, expensive things or not.
Yeah.
But I've always taken pride in my space. So maintaining a clean home was, a given for me. That is, to me, that is bare minimum. You might not have money to buy this, or you may not personally have taste to execute, an aesthetically pleasing space, but you can keep your space clean.
Yeah.
And so that was for me was bare minimum. And when I couldn't do that because of the 10 to 12 hour days, I was like, nah, we gotta get somebody had to see about this. We need to organize this.
You didn't just get somebody to sort out your house, you also got somebody to sort out other people's homes.
Listen, again, I guess this is that when I have to talk about these things, it really makes me question myself as a human being, because how Nook Cranny itself really started. I was leaving the house one morning and my neighbor stopped me and she said, Latoya, I have some guests coming in and I need to get the annex clean. I know you have somebody. And without skipping a beat, I said, yes, I actually have a company. And she's like, really? I was like, yes. So I was like, you need someone to. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'll make the arrangements.
Very good.
And I got into my taxi and I went to the office and I was like,
When did I have a business?
yeah, where do they? So that
Speaking it into existence.
I was like, okay. So I called my best friend. I was like, hey, this Nancy, I tell you, I have a housekeeping company. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I have a housekeeping company. He's like, okay. He's like, well, congratulations. And I was like, okay, well, what I need to do now? Of course, I'm working in the corporate space. So at this point, I'm saying to myself, well, I need to get things organized. It just so happened that I was scrolling through social media. I think it was Facebook specifically, and I saw Business Registration Services, a company that was doing that. So I was like, all right, let me call and see, because I don't have time to go and go to Ministry of Legal Affairs and all of this jazz. So I called the guy. He happened to be at Ministry of Legal Affairs at the time. He explained to me how his service worked. I said, okay. He's like, well, I'm here now, so I could do the name search for you. You know, that's the first step,
Yes.
right? So I said, sure. So he's like, what is the name? So I said, let me call him back. Hang up the phone, call back Westy. And I'm like, I need a name for the business. So he threw out 2 or 3 things, and I was like, nah. Hung up the phone with him. I sat down and thinking about it now. All the time I'm behind my desk in my office working. And then I was like, Nook Cranny. I like that. So I called back the guy. I was like, it's Nook Cranny Housekeeping Services. So he said, okay, I'll do the name search. Now, of course, you know, these people, they have their ways of expediting things because it's Trinidad, right? So he got back the results right away. The name was available. I was like, okay, business is going to be registered. And I started the process of registering the business. I called my housekeeper. I said, hey, I have a job for you. So and so and so is the case, whatever. I spoke to her about her availability, how much time she had, and that is pretty much how it went. And I worked to fill her schedule, so the available time she had. And once her schedule was full, I engaged somebody else. I worked by referrals only. I guess we'll get into that at some point, but I work by referrals only in terms of staff because obviously, you know, the security concerns, etc. And I engage the next person and I work to fill their roster. And so
but
that's how
this
it
is not
went.
the only business you have. You also have Hodgepodge Home. So let's hear that story.
Hodgepodge Home, HPH Interiors, my baby.
Yeah.
Hodgepodge Home is my passion child, I guess. I think for me to explain the genesis of Hodgepodge Home or HPH, it's more like a therapy session.
Okay.
But
I think I was part of that.
Oh, good. Therapy session. I love it.
Like the whole exercise of that.
I've always had an interest. My mother was the woman who used to turn up the house.
Yes.
I don't know where the money used to come from in retrospect, but you know, the drapery and the balloon curtains, and you have to stuff the curtain with plastic bags, and she was, you know, that kind of lady.
Very Bridgerton-esque.
Yeah. Everything was extra, as extra as they could get it. And so there was always that interest. Is a space that I grew up in. When mommy died, the responsibility kind of fell on me. And she didn't do that only for her home, she did it for my aunt. And, you know, she was the one who would, you know the colors and know the this and what's in style and whatever. And so I took that on. I always had an interest, as I said, in terms of the creative space design, etc. I thought it was going to be fashion. And so for CXC, actually it was before CXC, Form 2, 3, I convinced my father to enroll me in John D to do textile design. Okay. So I was doing batik and tie-dye and whatever, and to do sewing course. I did clothing and textiles and art for CXC as well. So there was always that interest in design, in that creative, you know, space. But then I went on HR.
But it's the Caribbean urge to, you know, I like this, but let me have a reasonable backup.
Do you think that makes sense?
I mean,
you know?
I mean, it's up to lawyers and engineers do we have in Trinidad today? We have plenty.
Yeah.
We living out their parents' dreams, not theirs.
But I did see success in that career, and so, you know, that creative side kind of fell by the wayside. But I was always interested. Now, when I purchased my property, my residential space, I had some construction and stuff to do, and baptism by fire. Yeah. So I learned quite a lot just from my particular project, and it sort of kind of reignited my interest there. Now Darren was very present in that time and that space, you know, sprinkling his influence, etc. And he had already started his business and, you know, pursuing his interest. So I would kind of look to him And then I look at what I'm doing, and I look at him, but it would be years before I would have the opportunity to move into a professional space, as in actually get paid to do things or to execute projects. And it started very simply, sourcing things. I consider myself an interior decorator, not necessarily an interior designer. Because, well, one, I'm not formally trained, so there is that for me, that formal knowledge gap. And then two, construction and thing in Trinidad.
I mean, Darren can tell you stories.
Yeah, it's a headache and a half.
But I know you have a different perspective because you're a woman, and we don't expect to see women on construction sites giving orders.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
It is.
I think, like, I mean, we like to bring up old wounds, but, like, we've had a terrible, like, I mean, as Latoya said, baptism by fire. Like, seeing the dishonesty, seeing how absolutely insane some contractors are. As in, taking material from a different job site, taking her money, and saying that he purchased her material.
Yep.
And literally, it's crazy. I mean, I tried to step in and help and stuff, and the thing was just so badly gone. It's just so. I think at that point, Latoya said, "Here, what? Everybody leave. I am going to do this one step at a time,
Oh, wow.
and it's going to be a curated experience for me."
And that was exactly it. It was at that point. Let me tell you, construction in Trinidad, like this space is no joke, you know. At that point, I was 26. I was very young. I was doing it on my own. And at this point, I'm talking about saving my pittance. You know, if I knew where every dollar came to fund my project. And for someone to be dishonest, I felt sick. My blood pressure was through the roof.
Oh,
it was
God.
at the point where I was like, literally, as Darren said, I had to stop. I was like, no, stop. Like, we need to stop. And the space was not finished. But the money was impacted. And so I had to figure it out bit by bit, piece by piece, educating myself. And it is through that education that I got the confidence, etc., to be able to go out on my own. So I was able to put some fuel behind a passion or interest that I had. So that was HPH. HPH operated, I probably shouldn't say this in case they come for me, but HPH operated without any formal registration or systems for maybe about
Don't worry, they have people doing it for decades.
about a year.
It's fine.
You know, a year to 2 years. I was just, just doing it because I liked it.
And two, I guess you had to figure out if this really was a business.
Exactly.
So it has to start from somewhere.
There was that. So, as those things, it developed. And when I had gotten to the point towards the end of the year last year, when I was contemplating my move, it just kind of made sense. I was like, Latoya, you have two businesses. You have two businesses. You're interested in something else. Let's make it work.
Okay.
And so, so with the support of, my community, we're trying to make it work. We're still trying to make it work.
Yeah, Serene, so you were asking Latoya. We can't remember now. It was about the curated spaces and home. Like, right, HPH, I mean, it was running, as Latoya said.
Yeah, it was running without unregistered, with no formal systems. And so when I went into the space full time, I started to, of course, develop that. I never marketed before. I think it was a couple of years before I even, put a face to the brand. And that kind of thing. So HPH Interior is my baby. Still.
So how do people find
figuring
you
it out.
for both of your businesses? Do they differ?
Everything is referrals.
Okay.
Everything thus far has been referrals, to be very honest. With Nook Cranny, I'm very particular. Both with all of the people, meaning all of the stakeholders. So I only do referrals for staff. We will do ads, but even how we approach that is a little bit different. Because we have to be certain of the person that we are sending into someone's personal space, their home, their sanctuary. So there is that, but also I don't play with my staff. So when we, take on a client, I have to know that I am also sending my staff into a space where they're
not going to be
safe.
victimized.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so we work on referrals. We do have those calls that would come in. But I use my HR background to apply that selection process in terms of, how we move forward.
Right.
Because I don't think that everybody is your client.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, that's pretty much how
Remember we had
how we do.
conversation in episode 1 where we spoke about it's not every client we have to take, and
Yeah.
because there are so many different reasons why, and like especially in the housekeeping professional space, some people are crazy.
And the power dynamics of having a housekeeper, because of course people can talk to you about how your house and how much the teeth and but what about some of your? I remember I went to a TED talk, and I think it was Father Harvey was talking about and at the time there was a really, really egregious story about a young girl who died, and people were making judgments about the mother who think might have been a housekeeper. And he's like, some of you need to think about how you treat your employees. You have a dinner party, so you want your housekeeper in the house 9, 10, 11, however. But you're not necessarily going to drop her home after. And she has to go into areas that might, how public transport is in Trinidad and Tobago. So, we have a lot of clients who are terrors.
Absolute terrors. I mean, the way they treat. So, like, just coming back to the dynamic that I have with my cleaning professional, we maybe chat a little bit. As far as I'm concerned, she have a whole drawer inside of my bedroom. She knows, so like she feels safe.
Yeah.
And we have that chat, and I feel safe because I tell her, okay, I'm gone. So somebody will let you out. That's if I don't come back in time. And she leaves, and she is fine, and she comes back next month or whatever. And the dynamic has to be there. The personal experience, the feeling, because we can't be discussing. The trust, because some people we have seen all over. You've just been disgusting, screaming at your professional, degrading them. Like, you want to degrade them, do it yourself. Let me see you get down on that ground there and scrub that floor.
Yeah, you're not willing to do the work yourself, so don't be rude. How do you deal with conflict?
Head on.
Okay.
Right.
Head on with transparency, with professionalism. I think my corporate space would have, laid the foundation for that. So I can be very diplomatic in my approach.
Yes.
But I also believe that a lot of the problems that, people experience can be avoided with sufficient communication and transparency. And so from the onset, I try to manage expectations in terms of, what is required. If you have a problem, you come to the company, you come to me. And I will address my staff if there is an issue, and the other way around as well. If a member of the team is asked to do something that they're not comfortable with or whatever it is, they pick up the phone, they say, Latoya, so-and-so is asking whatever, is it okay if I... and it's not so much about the micromanagement, but they understand that is necessary to manage a relationship, keep them safe, ensure that we remain professional, that any misunderstandings are treated with. And there isn't a rule book for it. I deal with things case by case.
Okay.
Right.
And we haven't had many issues, but when we do, if there is something, it's usually just some misunderstanding.
Okay.
Right.
That I can
usually
shed
is.
some light on, so and so's the case, whatever, she didn't understand this, or just being able to shed some light and provide a different perspective.
Right. I mean, so like in this sphere, in this industry, like when you come into a space, when you look at a space, do a site visit, because guys, there are site visits.
You have to.
When you're looking for what do you all see, how do you all know how to charge, etc.
So a number of things, we factor in a number of things. So in that initial meeting, it will seem like we mind your business because we mind your business.
Yeah.
Because those are the things, those are the variables that we consider. Right. So we would take a look at the number of people in the home, whether or not there are children in the home, right. The age of the children. Are we dealing with carpeted floors, the number of bathrooms? Are there pets in the home, the type of pet? Whether or not, well, you could kind of glean based on how some people live. There are some people that they don't do anything. We have clients that they leave dishes in the sink until we come. So,
You mean like every 2 weeks, every month, every week?
No, we have weekly clients. We have clients that we go to more than once a week.
But a week edition is a bit.
We have clients that we go to more than once a week though. But, so how people live. There are some people that, the ones that were clean before the housekeeper come.
Yes.
So,
Guilty. Like I saw people talking about it, and I saw my friends saying, "Oh my God, am I this person that cleans before the house?"
Yeah.
I am so that person.
I am so that person too.
Yeah, I'm not.
You're not. And then of course the frequency with which you intend to utilize the service, because what people don't understand is the more frequent the service, the cheaper it is actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because, what we're doing is maintaining your home.
Yes.
Versus if we come in once every 2 to 3 months, what we're going to meet versus coming every other week or every week is totally different.
So what do you from the years of running Nook and Cranny, what sort of advice, basic housekeeping advice, do you have for the busy person who may not yet reach at your level? Like, what are some of the things that you see that you could easily offer some tips for in terms of cleaning?
My thing would be to keep the space clean. Now, there's a difference between being clean and being tidy.
Right.
There is a difference.
Because a lot of us are clean, but we aren't.
Or you might be tidy but not clean.
Right.
So, there are things that you do that can maintain the space. The reason that I push cleanliness so much is because it also helps in terms of preserving your space and your items, your furniture, your curtains, etc. When you clean, you are able to lengthen the life of these things.
But do you see how this correlates to HPH?
And
her
for sure.
From her mom and from everything. Like,
for sure.
It's able to, just
everything
play
kind of, that's right.
They harmonize, they work really well together.
But in terms of, things to do, I spray down my bathroom probably every other day. And when I say spray it down, I don't mean necessarily scrub it. I mean literally solution, spray bottles, spray, filling some water. And that kind of helps to keep things at bay. So even when you do go into the space or time where you're actually going to clean the bathroom, it's that much easier.
Yes.
So in terms of tips, my thing would be to always kind of try to be clean.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you have to set aside a whole, at least my approach to cleanliness, you don't have to set aside a whole Saturday to turn over the whole house.
That is triggering, that is traumatizing.
Exactly, right?
Is there music, there's a soundtrack to your trauma?
There is a soundtrack to the trauma. and it sounds like, that's so funny, Because what's this station? There is a station in Trinidad, Music Radio 97. They soundtrack something. It's in the tagline.
Oh my God! The soundtrack.
More music, less talk.
Yes. Soundtrack of our lives.
Soundtracks of our lives.
Yeah.
And like you hear it, and like I honestly cannot remember the things that I did as a child in terms of cleaning. But
you just know it was traumatic.
You just knew that it was traumatic. And you had to do it and all these different things. Because there are many things that I hate cleaning. I hate clean. I would never clean someone else's toilet.
Yes.
Like it cannot happen. So for my toilet, it needs to be clean. If people are coming over, it needs to be clean. When people leave, I clean the toilet again. That's the first thing I go to to ensure. Because let's say we're drinking and your friends miss. I'm cleaning my bathroom. I don't care. You understand?
Well, we know the type of entertainment that goes down here.
So it's just like, so it's such an easy process of keeping your space clean because, again, when you get home, you want to see a clean space.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You don't have to make a thing of it. Like yesterday, I went to turn off the lights and I looked at the light switch. I was like, this light switch looking a little bit dirty. Spray. And I was like, okay, one light switch. Let's do all. So it was literally a walk through the house and just everything.
Just a simple
That's
process. So, well, what do you say to busy? So, I mean, I guess you're alluding to that now. So, like the folks who are working the same hours that you used to work and these different things, how? Like,
well, ultimately, your ultimate solution is to hire Nook Cranny.
right?
Yes.
Very good.
If you are not in a position to do that at this moment, my thing would be to just make it a part of your daily existence. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't even need to stick to a routine. When you see something, you do it. So I saw the light switch, so I cleaned that. If I pass by and I look at my nightstand and I see dust, I do the both of them one time.
Yeah.
It has some oil on the cloth, so as I passing by the next day, I might just pass on. So just, bite-sized bits. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just make it a part of your everyday. When you see something, you tackle it. That's all. Simple.
I love that, Latoya.
I love that. It's time for our teabag session.
Yes.
Of course, this is where listeners ask questions for some sort of advice. So we have a letter this afternoon. Oh my goodness, what a question. Sweeney is the consummate professional here.
Oh my goodness. All right, so it's from Lizanne. She's saying, hello all, congrats on the launch, loving the podcast so far. Thank you so much, Lizanne. So I recently started a new job that's super demanding and I literally have no time or energy to pick up even a broom to clean. Lizanne, are you me? My plan was to clean on weekends, but then weekends hit and clean nothing. Again, Lizanne. So I've been thinking about hiring a housekeeper, but the thought of having a stranger in my apartment scares me a bit. My questions are, where to start and what questions to ask when looking for a housekeeper, which I think is fair. And how can I best alleviate my concerns and get comfortable with the idea of having a stranger in my apartment?
Okay. So, in terms of the questions that you ask, you would want to establish who you are comfortable around.
Right.
So this might be a little bit controversial. Most people prefer female housekeepers, not men.
Do you have a lot of male housekeepers?
We have two that we utilize or we engage when it's appropriate. But for the most part, female.
Okay.
So you need to establish those parameters, the things that will allow you to be comfortable.
Right.
Do you prefer an older person, a younger person?
Yeah.
Do you prefer someone
Wait, I have to interject. Is that a request? Do you have like maybe wives requesting an older
Yes, we do.
Really?
We do.
I think that's a little tragic, but okay.
We've had, honestly, very controversial question. I've been asked on a number of occasions whether or not our housekeepers are local.
Right.
That has been, a point of contention for some people, etc.
But you know what? I'm different.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if it means local dollars, whatever, maybe I can understand that. But it's a housekeeping professional. Like, it's somebody who is doing something that you cannot do.
Now, I can see both sides of the coin. Let me explain.
Okay.
When that question is asked, what people are usually referring to would be those Venezuelan nationals.
So they're concerned about language.
Well, they're concerned about language, one. And there was also the concern that because these persons don't necessarily have roots in Trinidad.
Right.
Doing things like background checks and reference checks, etc., is very difficult. There is some truth to that.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah? So we understand the concern, but even when that request is made, we explore or tease the question to identify what your issue really is.
Yes.
So that we can address it. Yeah? Because there are some instances where we can address it and provide that level of comfort.
So you see the difference in my hasty response of, what's stupid here? And Toya is politically correct response.
Let me understand what your concern
What is
is.
the root?
What is the root of your concern?
Yes, I love.
Yeah, so that we could treat with it.
Don't worry, Darren. I was like on your level
Yeah,
too.
I
I was
can't-
like, I'm sorry.
Listen.
Fight to start.
The Latoya reaction was exactly that. Right? But
I
the
think
Nook
we
and
have-
Cranny
Is
reaction
it
Right.
different?
has to be different.
Because for me, like for instance, I am happy to help someone. I'm
Yeah.
happy to help anybody actually, because that's what we're here for. And I don't care. You could be black, white.
Yeah, exactly.
It does not matter. You are cleaning. You are doing anything. You're doing
Yeah.
You are providing any service. I treat you with respect.
Yes.
I am happy for your service, and I'm working with you. When I understand, okay, can't do background checks, etc. Thank God, I'm not a multimillionaire that requires that right now. Well, I'm not a multimillionaire yet,
Yes.
but I understand that. So I understand the argument on both sides, but I guess we just have to trust.
Well,
our
no,
folks.
we found ways to address that. So, in terms of the type of information that we would gather for persons that are non-nationals that may not have that history that we can tap into, we would seek to find other ways to get that.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd look at their work history here, we go based strictly on referrals,
Yes.
so that we have some information to work
Ways
with.
of addressing those concerns.
Exactly. And the information that they will share with us might be a little bit more than, you know, a local person might share.
Yeah.
So that we know how to reach them, emergency contacts, all of those things.
Yes.
So we try to find ways to work around the concerns, which is why it's important for us to ask the question.
Yes.
But going back to Lizanne's, question, it's important for you to determine what you are comfortable with.
Yes.
And once you determine that, then you can seek to, filter persons out when you're interviewing with respect to that. The second part of the question was...
Yeah. She was
how you get
asking
comfortable.
How- yes,
You're
how to get
comfortable with
comfortable
having
with
someone
the
strange in your
stranger.
house.
Right. So
I was like, girl, the thought of not having to clean, I got comfortable very quickly.
Very
I would start by hiring a company.
okay.
Yeah.
When you hire a company,
The burden is not solely on you.
there is that, and you can make a relatively safe assumption that they would have done their due diligence.
Yeah.
And if they haven't, you can inquire as to what their process is for engaging.
Okay.
And so
So-
if something goes wrong, you have the additional support of
Exactly,
that
there is
company.
that.
Yeah.
There is
So,
that.
quick question under that. Like, what's the difference between, okay, Suwini referred someone to me, versus Suwini refers a company to me? Like, so there's still a referral
Yes.
from someone that I trust. So, like, that, I gather it's a thin line.
It is a thin line. So what you get is one, there is a certain umbrella of professionalism that is attached to the organization, at least mine.
Yeah.
So in terms of communication, in terms of the fact that we do service agreements, so you have those things in place, your price is fixed. You have an understanding of the hours, what is required. There is a certain standard that is set when you engage. I can't say any organization. I can
Yes.
say my organization.
Yes. Yeah.
And in terms of the level of service that you would get, the professionalism of the actual housekeeper, you're not going to have somebody, former client of mine, she's like, I had to send her home because she come in her short pants. She come in her short pants. And you're bending over in her short pants. In her house. In front of my
Okay.
children, in front. So
Yeah.
there are certain standards
Yes.
that are automatically there.
Yeah.
In terms of the trustworthiness, you also have someone that is somebody as opposed to person that is also accountable.
Yes.
So if there is an issue, if there is a challenge, you have a body to go to. And then as well, in terms of continuity, in terms of the service,
Yes.
if a housekeeper falls ill, we have replacements. We have
Yes.
somebody else that we can send. Now, most people tend to be very, very comfortable with their person.
Correct.
So they will wait. But if you can't, or if you don't want to, or if you don't care,
Yeah.
you have that opportunity.
Yes.
We can send someone else. If
Right.
for some person they move on, your home, your family is not impacted, we do, we can step in and provide that support.
Okay.
So there are quite a number of benefits to engaging
That's like-
the company, this company.
I mean, that makes it so, like, it just makes this entire thing so.
Yeah,
It
easy.
de-stress. It makes it less stressful and more, more appealing. Especially if I don't want to have to deal with the bother of trying to find, and ask around for a good housekeeper. So, time now for what's brewing, right?
brewing?
So we want to know, Latoya, and I guess this is way more hodgepodge home, your baby.
Yes.
What's your favorite design trend or trends? What do we love?
No. I think that it kind of speaks to my aesthetic. I'm a wallpaper kind of girl.
Really?
I'm a wallpaper kind of girl.
Apparently, wallpaper is having the biggest moments of moments.
Listen, Latoya asked me for a wallpaper supplier. I sent her to the person. Latoya messaged me cussing. Why would you do me this? Meaning, Latoya has 6 books in her hand.
I don't know what to do.
She does
It has
not
so
know
much options.
what to do.
Wow.
And
So much.
because
I like
of
everything.
this, because of Latoya's experience, I have learned to now, okay, I'm giving you 3 options
Yeah.
from maybe 3 different books
Yes.
or from one particular style.
Right.
Because Latoya has to curate her space, so she
Yeah.
has to see something and understand. And there are many different clients who are just like that. And I literally just handed this, here you go. Enjoy. And in me saying that, I mean, there's a bit of naughtiness behind it.
Yes.
But Latoya was also
Always.
able to, I guess, narrow things down. But it took a while.
Yes. Yes.
But it was interesting because her love for that, and I mean, wallpaper is something that's coming back, and you have different textures, you have different everything.
Listen, because you can so very easily just create a totally different vibe in a space for minimal investment.
Okay.
So you can have a graphic representation on your wall. You could do botanicals. You could give, run a theme, run a vibe like that.
Yeah.
Simply.
Just right there.
Just
right
like
there.
that.
Yeah.
And it can be relatively inexpensive, as I said as well. So you're talking big impact, small investment. In terms of time as well, limited.
Yeah.
In terms of installation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you have someone do it for you. I mean, some of us do it ourselves.
Yeah, I know about
Yeah,
that.
no.
My sister, I have 6. So when I was in DC in December, my sister, we were looking for wallpaper for my niece because she just gotten her first home. I just got a photo after. Look at your sister. She's on the ladder, putting up wallpaper.
Yeah, no.
And she's cutting, she's measuring, she's doing, and I'm there confused. Because I mean, some of you will know DIY things are not my thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Neither am I.
we will talk
It's
about
not me
that
either.
in
Another episode.
next week's episode.
Yep.
But like watching my sister put up that peel and stick wallpaper was amazing, and she didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
So there are some people who love to do that. I
One
will
for
hire the
crafty people in
professional.
our lives.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
hire the professional and they
Same.
will organize.
Same.
Yeah.
But wallpaper, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's my thing. It's
I'm
my
with you
thing.
there. Because it also beats that accent wall.
Yeah.
Because remember we spoke about that
The
when
accent
we
wall
did the
is still
painting.
solid.
Yes, we did. Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Yes, we did.
So we don't this accent wall.
Unless
and
you
these
do it on a
different
mural or
things.
some
Yes,
kind
correct.
of design. And even then, it could kind of lean into a kind of very more commercial vibe.
Right.
And,
Yes.
so
Yes.
wallpaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
More wallpaper.
So we just found out what's brewing. So what's brewing for you is wallpaper. Time now for No Tea No Shade, a list of your design no-nos and how to fix a disaster. So what do you not want to see ever again in design?
In design, in home, let's say
Yeah.
even housekeeping. Let's say things that you see and you all fix it.
I'm frightened for the. I'm frightened
I know.
for
I'm frightened for
the
the
nook and
housekeeping
cranny
part.
nose. Because I feel like emotionally ready for the hodgepodge nose. But the nook and cranny nose will make me cry for humanity. And
Oh gosh. Okay, so for me, hodgepodge nose, based on my philosophy behind design and decorating, styling spaces, you see anything that's predictable. are not for that.
Right.
As in, you're walking dwellings or courts or standards or Mikasa, and you see they set up this space.
Yes.
So it's a 3-seater, a 2-seater, single-seater, a set. A set. That's what it is, a set. And they give you the rug and you just take their vignette. You take it and you
dump it in your house.
And you replicate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not even replicate. You just
Just put
take
it
it
there.
and you buy everything. I want
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
And you just drop it in there. For me,
It's a lack of
that
personal
is
style.
it's a lot. I truly believe that your space is supposed to be reflective of you, of the occupants in the space.
Right.
You cannot walk into a store and get that. In
Yes.
a store on one occasion and get that.
No matter how well put together this space is, that's not your space.
Yeah. Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
It's not your space.
It's not
Yeah.
your space.
Yeah.
And whether you hire interior decorator, interior designer, anyone to do your space for you, we are coming to personalize
Nice
this
that.
space because we as professionals can just give you anything because we can do it because that's what we know.
Yes.
This is what is accustomed to. But then
I can
guess
give you what I like.
Yes, what I like, but then how do you use this space?
Yeah.
How do you
I'm
sit
not
on
living in this
sofa?
house.
That's
so-
right.
How do your kids jump on this thing? Do they jump on the table? Are they teens, pre-teens,
You have
older?
West Indian children jumping on tables.
Listen.
Ooh.
There are West Indian children who play football in their house.
And
Okay.
writing on walls.
and they're
Oh, no,
right in the house.
writing on
Yeah,
walls.
everything.
I cannot back talk because that's what
You
you're
were
supposed
one
to
of
do.
those. You were
All
one
of us-
of those.
all of us will.
Not
I mean-
in Cindy Griffith's house.
The last time I got to ride my bike in the house is when I rode the bike and broke the coffee table.
Oh.
After that, outside.
That was the end of
But
that.
I was a child.
Yes.
So yeah, let him do. No, let him do. After that,
No, but
outside.
even if that is how you live, we need to know that. Because
Yes.
I need to accommodate that.
For
And
that,
for
yes.
me, it's more, and also in terms of style. When you walk through my door, the first thing that you see is my jab horns. That is the first thing.
Your what?
The greeting
A jab
here.
horns.
My helmet with
I
my
love
horns
it.
from Jab. Because my
Exciting
space,
enough.
there is a story behind everything.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I like this because
Do
I
you
bought
have
this here.
concerns? Do you have issues with clients not being honest about who they are and how they live?
Yes.
How bad
So
is
what
that?
happens?
Yeah.
Like what happens?
No, this one has sound a little bit thing, but again, my approach to things clearly unorthodox. I come in to appreciate that, but I get to know my clients personally, so I could call you out on that. Now,
Yeah.
if that is what you want for your space, then cool, no problem.
Yeah.
But let us acknowledge that that's not necessarily who
Yes,
you are. So,
yes.
real simple thing is, we were talking. I went to a site visit, and the person was talking about open shelving, and I was like, "Hear this now."
Yeah.
Open shelving is not for you, though. Open shelving is not for you. You are not going to be cleaning the shelf. Dust is going to settle. We are going to have an issue.
That's not like the episode when Darren had to talk to me about bathtubs because I was like, they are essential, and he's like, no, let me talk to you about price and how many times you're going to actually use it.
Yeah.
You know, I still feel he don't know about me, but he went on price. Like I feel I could use it. But the prices he was quoting me was
I
hitting.
still want one.
Yeah, because
No,
I mean,
like,
But I'm not
totally-
paying life as yet.
I totally-
$50,000 tubs.
Yeah.
13, 14, to $20,000.
It's a lovely soaker top.
Yeah.
with my
Yeah.
coffee.
Soca
Lovely
ties,
experience.
the
Love, yes.
balm.
Yes.
I want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, it would be in terms of things that I would want to avoid in the decor design spaces. Spaces with no personality.
Yes.
Spaces that don't tell a story of the
Oh gosh, she
people
sound like
that
she
live
coming
there.
she coming for all bachelors who just fellas just do.
There is that.
Oh my
The
God.
only thing that's
Yes.
telling me who you are is what football team poster you have.
Yeah, but
And that's
it's,
about that
it's
life.
how many
There's
football
more
teams
to
they
you.
support in Trinidad? It's Man
Nah,
U, it's
fellas, we have to do
Arsenal,
that,
it's
so.
Chelsea,
We have to do that,
it's
so.
Man City,
There is
it's
more to you
Barcelona.
than that
It's like,
too.
oh
But
god.
then there are
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
fellas who not into that and there's just no personality in their space.
Yeah.
And I always have to be like, dog, Where's all your problem? All right, production is telling us we literally have 17 seconds left.
Okay.
I mean, this was amazing. Latoya, as always, tell us where we can find you, please.
Social media, Instagram, Facebook, both pages.
Nook
Reach
Cranny
out.
This is
TT.
Nook Cranny.
Nook Cranny TT on Instagram. That's the handle. On for
HPH Interiors.
Correct.
Right.
HPH Interiors. So just reach out and we will initiate the process. We don't do business over Instagram, but we will move the process along from that point on.
Lovely.
Great.
Latoya, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. We enjoyed this. We're going to have another episode when we talk about the pain points from where you started with home and the construction and those different things.
Yeah.
But we will need harder.
That is a story I'd love to
harder
tell.
drinks for that experience.
Listen.
But we thank you so much for being here with us. This is another episode of the Interior Podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. You can listen to the Interior Podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify,
SoundCloud,
and all other streaming platforms.
You can follow us on social media on Instagram.
Yes, and even Facebook at The Interior Podcast.
Go ahead and follow us now.
Thank you.